Okay. All right, everyone. The public hearing on ordinance 9241 is now open. A public hearing is a meeting that provides the opportunity for public discussion regarding ordinances and other matters pending before City Council. Today, ordinance 9241 is at issue. Ordinance 9241 authorizes the placement of 503 Buttonwood Avenue on the local historic register with historic overlay zoning as suggested by our Historic Preservation Commission. Interested parties may express their views and submit evidence supporting those views at this public hearing. The information shared will become part of the city's permanent record and may be used by the members of City Council in deciding whether or not to adopt our ordinance. There are usually 4 parts to our public hearings: the staff report, testimony from the applicant, if any, public testimony, and then discussion by members of City Council. So first up, we will receive the staff report from Planning Director Heather Saylor.
Thank you. So this is for 503 Buttonwood Avenue, a local designation. This was requested by the actual property owners, which is Charles and Jean Ladd, and I do see them in the audience. As far as the location, it is right on the southeast corner of Adams Street and Buttonwood Avenue. The HPC did recommend that this be placed on the local register, and they did this on September 24th of last year. Feels weird saying that already, last year. And then City Council did recommend that the Planning Commission review this request, and the Planning Commission did so on October 21st, or excuse me, that was actually on November 6th. And they did recommend approval of the request. Again, a lot of their reasoning was based on, of course, the criteria. It meets the criteria of the ordinance, at least 2 of those. And then they're especially happy with the applicants, are the owners that have requested the designation. So as far as your packet goes, I did give you a copy of the map that I created for Planning Commission, highlighting the parcel, and then a copy of their requested designation of the property. And then also the memo that went to council from the Historic Preservation Commission. And then lastly, the ordinance does require a property inventory form be filled out. And I know one of our HPC members closely worked with the family to get this filled out. So that's also part of your packet. Otherwise, that's it, unless you have any specific questions.
Greg and Jeff, any questions for Heather at this time?
Nope.
No.
Okay, thank you, Heather. So next up, we will hear any testimony from the applicants. So from Charles and Jean Ladd, if you'd like to address the committee at this time. Okay. Okay. If you want to jump up later in this process, let us know. If not, we'll move on to any testimony from the public. Are there any members of the public here this evening that would like to address the committee at this time? Jody, did we receive any correspondence on this designation?
We did not.
Okay, so moving right along, the members of the committee will now have an opportunity to discuss the ordinance. Greg and Jeff, anything on this?
No, I have no issues or concerns and intend to support it.
Nope. I think it's great. I enjoyed learning more about the property, and thank you guys for coming to the meeting tonight.
Okay, that was a short and sweet committee public hearing. We'll move on to our next one, but let's close this one out first. So thanks everyone for their participation. This will conclude the public hearing on ordinance 9241. Keep moving, Jody, or?
Yes.
Okay. So then the second public hearing this evening is on ordinance 9243. So we will declare that public hearing open. A public hearing is a meeting that provides the opportunity for public discussion regarding ordinances and other matters pending before City Council. We are discussing ordinance 9243 during this hearing. Ordinance 9243 establishes interim zoning of IE innovation and employment zoning for the approximately 18.87 acres of land located on South Dunbridge Road, recently annexed to the city as petitioned for by Ryan A. Rothenbuehler as agent for Hartung Farms LLC. So interested parties may express their views and submit evidence supporting those views at this public hearing. That information shared will become part of the city's permanent record and may be used by the members of city council in deciding whether or not to adopt the ordinance. So again, there's 4 parts to these public hearings. The first is the staff report from Planning Director Heather Saylor.
November 6th, same day as 503 Buttonwood, Planning Commission did review this request, and they did recommend the interim zoning of IE, Innovation and Employment Zone. I gave you a copy at your handout there for the IE, looking at those basic standards. And then also I gave you a list of the proposed uses, and then I gave you a copy of the map of all the adjacent zoning classifications for that area. I do believe Planning Commission recommended the IE because Hartung, their facility already is zoned IE, so it made sense since they did purchase this property. And we anticipate they'll grow at some point into that parcel. So that's it, unless you have any specific questions for me.
Okay, Greg and Jeff, any specific questions for Heather?
I have none.
Nope.
Okay. Is the applicant Ryan A. Rothenbuehler as agent for Hartung Farms here this evening? Anyone else that would like to address the committee at this time on behalf of the applicant? Okay, we'll move on to any testimony from the public. Any members of the public that would like to speak to the committee at this point? Jody, did we receive any correspondence?
We did not.
Okay, so we wrap the public hearings up by allowing the committee an opportunity to discuss the ordinance. Greg or Jeff, anything on this one?
No, it seems to make sense with the, given the neighboring properties. And
Yeah, great to see the business expanding.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your participation this evening. This will conclude the public hearing on ordinance 9243.